Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Tonight is Friday. It is the 23rd of November. It is Black Friday. And you know what that means, Smaulgld specials. We're going to get into those in a couple of minutes. Tonight's topic is how much gold does China have? It's a big topic amongst gold promoters, and they will insist that China has so much gold, and at the same time they'll insist that they're lying. And tonight we're going to break down some of those numbers that are publicly available. And we're going to discuss how much gold does China have, and perhaps more importantly, does it really matter? Okay, well, let's now take a look at the price of gold today. What happened in the gold markets? What happened in the overall markets? It was an abbreviated trading session today in both the equities and the gold markets. But gold went down a bit, down a little bit. A little bit, down about $5.83, and that was good for nothing. That was good for about a 0.5% decline at 12.21, and that means that currently we're just up slightly. It's about 12.22. It's about a 0.5% decline. Over on the silver price, what happened with silver? Well, gold went down and silver down a bit more, down a little bit, down just a little bit. Actually, it went down a lot. It went down 1.39%, 20-cent decline for the price of silver, now at 14.23. What does that do for the unsustainable gold-silver ratio? You know, the one that's supposed to be 16-1 or 9-1 or 1-1, because silver is rarer than gold. Well, the gold-silver ratio continues to climb, and it topped 86-1 at some point earlier today and is now at 85.72. By the way, tomorrow we are going to do a report about silver as an inflationary metal. We're going to give you some overview, some history, and maybe you can learn something other than silver is rarer than gold, and there are so many uses for silver, and when the market figures it out, silver will go to $100, even more. Now, we're going to learn about silver as historically as an inflationary metal tomorrow. But let's move on now to some more important things. Today, after all, is Black Friday. And you know what that means? Some of your favorite items are on sale at the Smaulgld store. That beautiful beer stein can be yours today at a 20% discount. Now that's a good deal. A lot of people like that beer mug, and 20% off gives you a good deal. But there's some even bigger deals, I think, in the Smaulgld store tonight. But I'm going to give you that on link. This is a game-changing mug. 22 ounces can be filled in there, and it's definitely a must-have in your Smaulgld mug collection. However, this one, I think, is a very useful item. This is only a couple of dollars. You can have this thing, and this is a beautiful thing. This is a Smaulgld magnet slash bottle opener. Now, every time you go to the fridge, you don't have a bottle opener. You have to go to the drawer. You got to find where it is. Kid took it. It's not there. This thing's always on your fridge, staring you in the face. As Smaulgld reminds you to check in with Smaulgld, and you can open your beer very easily. That's also on sale at a discount today for Black Friday. But here's the biggest winner, I think, of the day. Now, this one I talked to you about. This is a stunning 60% off. This is the Smaulgld frosted beer mug. Now, wait for it. This is you can't even tell how beautiful this mug is by these pictures, but it is truly a game changer. It already looks like it's been left in the freezer and it's frosted, but you can put it in the freezer, you can get double frosting. Now think about that. It's like getting gold and silver in one. It is double frosted, and that one is 60% off. Normally that mug is about $26. It's the most expensive Smaulgld item. It has a 10 handle on it tonight, and tonight only. The Smaulgld 16-ounce frosted beer mug, a game changer if I've ever seen one. Also, we've got specials or blackout coffee. You know, if you got those Smaulgld coffee mugs, you want to fill them up with coffee, well, The Smaulgld affiliates also have coffee. There's Blackout Coffee. Check out their specials. And Kona Coffee, 100% Kona Coffee, not Kona blend, but from Koa Coffee you can get the 100% Kona Coffee from the hills of Hawaii, and that's a nice thing to have. Also, don't forget to check out the precious metals specials. They're going on at SD Bullion. They got a lot of nice specials. You're going to save a little bit of money. You could save a little bit. Remember, Smaulgld gets paid a commission. You pay no more, no less than if you visited these sites directly. So check out SD Bullion. Check out their specials. But Smaulgld also has affiliate links with two other very reputable coin dealers. That is Money Metals Exchange. And they are also having their specials today. And the other one is Golden Eagle Coin, where you can get those Bitcoin and Litecoin 99% rounds, silver rounds, which are very nice indeed, as Salivate Metal would say. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. There's Money Metals Exchange. And after we do this, we're going to get straight into our topic of the evening, but I just want to give you the final link, and we'll be good to go. Here are the Litecoin silver round links. Check those out. One more link, and your Bitcoin links, and then we will get into our topic about how much gold China really has and whether it matters. And here, wait for the link, and you're good to go. All right, let's talk about how much gold does China have. Well, this is something that has developed a life of its own. It started back in 2014 and 15 when a lot of the gold community were wondering how much gold China had. And the reason they were wondering was China, or the People's Bank of China, had not reported any updates to their gold reserves since 2009. You're getting on 5-6 years. People are wondering, how much gold does China have? How much gold does China have? You know, it's the most important thing. And people understood that there was probably a lot of gold flowing into China. And they were wondering whether China was going to use its gold hoard as some type of leverage to get itself, or its yuan, included in the IMF's special drawing rights basket. And they thought that somehow having a lot of gold was going to get its ticket, its admission. Now, that didn't make much sense, because at the time, the United Kingdom and Japan were in the basket, and they have very little gold. England had 310 tons at the time, still does. Japan has about 600 tons. So it's not like you need a lot of gold to get into the special drawing rights. Really what was required was that you had a dominant currency, because you had a dominant economic position. Now, one would argue that there's no reason for England to be in there, the British pound, but somewhat that is tradition, and also because Great Britain and the City of London, there is some reason for it to be there, but it's punching above its weight to be in it. And not for China not to be in it when it was the second largest economy, made sense for then China to get admitted. But for the gold people, it was because they had a lot of gold, not because China had become the second largest GDP in the world, but rather because China must have so much gold, and therefore, if they got all that gold, they can't be denied entrance. So back in 2015, China finally released its official numbers on how much gold that they had. Now remember, the big mistake that pretty much everyone watching this was they conflated China with the People's Bank of China. Now, no one seems to do this for India and the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India had 557 tons for the longest time, but no one denied that there was lots and lots of gold, 10,000 tons, 20,000 tons of gold in India, in the hands of Indian people, in the hands of Indian temples, and no one thought that India was lying. They just knew that the Reserve Bank of India did not have. They accepted the number that the Reserve Bank of India had 557 tons. But for whatever reason, there became this whole hysteria over China, how much gold China had. And when the People's Bank of China finally released their numbers and said how much gold that they had, it only went up, to like 1,600. They had like 800 or 900 tons, and people were astounded. They were expecting China to report thousands of tons of gold, and they didn't. They reported like 1,600 or something like that. And then they added from there, and they've stopped reporting since October 2016. So right now, China only has reported about 1,842, 43 ounces. And when they announced back in 2015, they reported about 1,600. And that was only up about a few hundred from the last time they reported. And that drove people nuts. They're lying. China's got a lot of gold. And then all the Sun Tzu quotes came out. Oh, yes, what they're doing is they're appearing weak when they are strong. Everybody knows that China's got 20,000, 40, whatever it was, some fantastical amount of gold, and it was a game changer. Yeah, they added 604 tons from 1,054 tons up to 1,658. Now, that's a decent amount of gold, but, of course, the gold people went nuts. This isn't, they're lying, and they've got more gold than that. And this has become, this story about China having more gold than they say they have, and you can't believe China's number, is right up there with what we talked about the other night, which is there's no gold at Fort Knox. So the gold pumping narrative goes something like this. There's no gold at Fort Knox because, and the United States has no gold because it's long since left either by theft or they lent it out, and there's no way they can ever get any gold ever again because United States is through. The dollar is toast. China's going to crush the dollar. And why is China going to crush the dollar? Because the United States has no gold, and China's got all the gold in the world. Gold flowing east to west, that whole narrative. Now, what people missed in all of this, and there was outrage over this, they're lying. Now, the same people that were claiming China was lying and then attributed it to some type of Sun Tzu strategy that you're supposed to appear weak when you're strong. So like if you really have a lot of gold, you don't disclose it, you lie about it, and you pretend you don't have it. Okay, the problem with that narrative is the same people were saying that the Chinese yuan was going to crush the dollar, the Chinese yuan was going to be the international reserve currency, and they were going to force the world to use it for oil and everything else. Well, that's never happened. No one wants the Chinese yuan, precisely for the reason that the gold pumpers say that they lied about their gold holdings. Why does nobody want the yuan? Because they don't trust the Chinese government numbers. And, well, they don't trust the U.S. number. Yeah, you're talking two different kettles of fish. You can't trust any government numbers. But some of the Chinese numbers are beyond laughable on their debt ratios. But in any event, the same people that were saying that the Chinese yuan was going to crush the dollar because it was the best currency in the world and it had all this gold were the same people complaining that China's lying. They've got more gold than they say they have. But then in order to make it seem like they weren't lying, they bring Sun Tzu into it. Well, Sun Tzu says appear weak when you are strong. Okay. Now this is all just fantasy. China's got a lot of gold and the United States has none. And the most important thing between nations is gold. I mean, they're living back in 1880. That somehow how much gold China has and how much gold the United States have is the most important thing. And the United States just doesn't have any gold left. There's just no way the United States has 8,000 gold. They're lying. China's lying. Everyone's lying because it's this big game of deflection of how much gold people have. Okay. Now, the day that came out, the first thing I realized was, and I wrote an article on it, and Zero Hitch picked it up, it was called The Case of China's Missing Gold. And the first thing I realized is there's no missing gold in China. People were like, well, they got more. Where is it? What I recognized is this doesn't require any special insight or genius. It just requires you not to be beholden to gold pumping narratives. Is whoever said that the People's Bank of China is all the gold in China? Why do people conflate the People's Bank of China with China? The Reserve Bank of India isn't where all the gold in India is. It's almost as if you have to suspend belief just to believe these narratives. China's got gold. They have a lot of it. Their Sun Tzu. And the United States has no gold. As we discussed last night, there's no basis to believe they have no gold other than they haven't audited it. But even so, if it was important to have gold, we talked about this last night. It's very easy to acquire 8,000 tons of gold over a period of time. If somehow over the last 20 or 30 years they've lost it, you can acquire it through buying it, through your own mining production. We see how India acquires 1,000 tons a year. It doesn't do anything to the gold price. They import it. So if it was very important for the United States to have gold, they could acquire it with the same ease that China has acquired a lot of gold. And by the way, in the comments section, someone wrote that they thought I said the United States can just go and take it from other countries. No, I didn't say that. I said that others, the same people that are always accusing the United States of going around the world and beating everyone up and taking their gold, are the same people that believe that the United States is so impotent and so in debt that they couldn't somehow get gold. Of course they could. They could buy it, or, as these people say, they can go and take it. So I just don't understand the idea that the United States has no gold. It's the most important thing to have. And if somehow China were to call the United States bluff and roll their gold out into a stadium, as countries do, right? That the United States would be exposed, and then it would be game changer, game over. The whole thing is ridiculous. 2,000 tons of gold cost $80 billion. It's not that much money. The United States printed $200 billion a month during QE3. So again, let's move back to China. So now China has been fairly transparent. They haven't hid anything. There's no reason for a country to keep all of its reserves, all of its national treasure at the People's Bank of China or its central bank. They don't. So that was the first thing that I noted, was that, well, look, they added all that gold to the reserves from 604 tons. I mean, they added 604 tons from 1,054 tons to 1,658 tons. And then I asked, is that good enough for the IMF? And I pointed out, look, to be in the SDR, England only has 310 tons. This is all I pointed out in 2015. Now, to make matters more clear, I then found something also reported by Zero Hedge that the central bank, the People's Bank of China, admitted that they moved certain official reserve assets to other entities in China. So they're not lying. There's just no reason to keep everything at the People's Bank of China. People's Bank of China has subsidiary banks, fully owned, partially owned. There's other state-owned banks in China. There's sovereign wealth funds in China. There's wealthy individuals in China. Of course there's more gold in China than 1,800 tons. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, and I'm going to show you why it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But somehow people cling to this belief that China's got more gold. Someone wrote to me, you don't believe that. The comment was, you don't believe that number 1842, and then he said, you are stupid. Now, this is the NPC Smaulgld man bad, because he believes official numbers. He doesn't watch all the YouTubes that I watch that show that China is lying. That Sun Tzu says this is a mistake. Sun Tzu says appear weak when you are strong. China has 50,000 tons of gold, and they are going to roll it into a stadium, and then it's going to be game over for the dollar. The dollar is toast. The dollar's days are numbered. That's the whole thing. Smaulgld man bad. Okay, well this article talks about how the Chinese president confirms practice of moving official reserve assets to other entities in China. And Chinese President Xi Jinping admits some assets in foreign exchange were transferred from the central bank to domestic banks, enterprises, and individuals. Just as I had suspected in my article, the case of China's missing gold. That's exactly what I said. That the gold wasn't at the People's Bank of China. It was at other banks, other enterprises, meaning sovereign wealth funds, and individuals. Bingo star. How hard is that to figure out? Now, how did I figure that out? Well, I also looked at available numbers, and I found out that, well, here's what I found out. Chinese gold mining. Okay? All available, reported There's like 5,600 tons right there since 2000. And we know that China doesn't export any gold, doesn't allow the gold to leave the country. So 56, 57, 5,800 tons of gold mined. And the People's Bank of China reports 16, 17, 1,800 tons. I guess the number is bigger in the amount that they mined than they have at the People's Bank of China. So instead of saying, oh, well, I guess the gold is elsewhere in China, no, people say that they're playing Sun Tzu and they're saying they have less when they have more. I don't think anyone with half a brain would think that China is getting away with telling the world that it has less gold because it only reported 1,842 tons on the balance sheet of the People's Bank of China. It's obvious that the People's Bank of China doesn't have all of China's gold. Okay, what else? How else do we know that there's more gold in China? People are like, they think they've learned something. They saw it on YouTube. They see there's more gold in China, and China's preparing for it to be game over. No, they're not. They are accumulating gold. It's no secret. Here, Chinese gold imports from Hong Kong. Not hidden. Since 2001, 5,983 tons. That's just Hong Kong. They probably bring gold in through Shanghai and every other port if they could. Okay, so there's 5,900 tons. Well, now you're at 5,900 tons and you have the domestically mined production. You're well over 1,800 tons that are on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. I don't see why this is any mystery or even an issue at all. Now, go over to the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Look at all this gold. This is through October. Staggering amounts of gold traded on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. This isn't gold that's at the People's Bank of China. This is gold that's traded on an exchange, and entities and individuals are withdrawing it. Thousands of tons of gold. 16,000 tons since 2008. Now, some of this is the same gold. It's hard to track. Some comes in and comes out, but it's not as easy. Once it goes out, it's counted as out and has to go through a process to come back in. But the point is, there's plenty of gold here too, well in excess of 1,800 tons. Why anyone thinks that the 1,800 tons that the People's Bank of China puts on its balance sheet is somehow China's gold, I don't know where you get that. All it means is the People's Bank of China's gold, just as the Reserve Bank of India isn't all of India's gold. These are reserve assets held by central banks. The central banks don't hold all of the nation's wealth. The nation's wealth is held in many places around the country. What's more, so we now know they've mined 5,800 ounces, where they've imported 5,800 ounces, they've mined a significant amount. They've got plenty of gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And so I put together this little chart. And I come to, before we even know how much gold was in the country before the year 2000, that there's at least 16,000 ounces, tons of gold in China. And there's probably another 10, 15,000 that were there before this happened. So how do I get there? People's Bank of China. They reported 1,842 tons. I have no reason to doubt that number. No, it should be higher. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be higher. They don't have to have all the gold in China at the People's Bank of China. We know they've imported close to 6,000 tons. We know it didn't end up at the People's Bank of China. No, but they're lying. Sun Tzu. No, it's got nothing to do with Sun Tzu. That gold is elsewhere in the country. We also know they mined 5,600 tons in the last 15, 16, 17 years. Okay. It's not at the People's Bank of China. They're not lying. These numbers are available. It's not like China's, because the people that report this stuff to you don't show you this, doesn't mean that China's lying. It means they want you to think that China's lying and that they're doing the Sun Tzu deception and that this is going to crush the dollar. Shanghai imports, I just threw this number in. I don't know if it's 3,000. It could be 1,000. It could be 0. It could be 10,000. But the idea is, in a ballpark, there's no way they don't have 15,000 tons in the country. Now, yes, China's a communist country and technically everything in the country they own. But they don't claim that. They claim to let people have stuff. So I would guess there's 25,000, 30,000 tons. Just like all the others claim that there's that much gold in China. So what? There's 30,000 tons of gold in China. There's tea in China too. What does it mean? There's 25, 30,000 tons of gold probably in India. So what? What does it mean? But again, if you focus on this, China's playing some Sun Tzu, crush the dial, China plays the long game, United States has no gold, can't ever get any gold, it's long gone, end of the dollar hegemony. None of this makes any sense, because all of this, what you're looking at, makes total sense. That yes, I don't disagree with the pumper narrative that there's 20, 30, 40. I really, you can go 50,000 tons. It doesn't matter. It means there's a lot of gold in China. And it doesn't mean that China is lying when they say the People's Bank of China only has this 1,842 tons. So, next time somebody tries to tell you they're lying, you don't believe the official numbers, show them these numbers. These numbers agree with them. Yes, there's more gold in China. But so what? What does it even mean? All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to take some quick comments, and then I have to motor a bit early tonight. Let's see what we got here. Oh, good. We don't have a lot of comments. I'll be able to get through them. Don't doubt China. They have Sun Tzu. Well, there you go, Roger. Hello, Andrew. How's it going? The past week was a game changer, says Taylor Collins. Absolutely. The Smaulgld mugs are game changers. All right. And then Carl Joseph DeMarco. China's real national debt, 46 trillion, 33% of GDP. I do have a chart on that. I didn't want to mix, as I think sometimes a bit too much information, that their gold is worth at best, even if you revalue it to like $5,000 an ounce, $1 trillion or $2. They owe far more. They owe amounts that are staggering, that no amount of gold is going to cover unless they revalue gold to $100,000 an ounce. But that's what they're going to do. China is going to revalue gold to $100,000 an ounce, and then they are going to win, and they are going to crush the dollar. Then it is going to be game over. All right. According to Zero Edge article, who cares how much gold they have? And everyone in China is trying every which way to Sunday to get their money out of exchange for dollars. Of course. Roger Henley, I don't understand why the red pill truthy community get off on the thought of being lied to by them. It's insane. Not everything is a lie. Or, even if they're presented with facts, they cherry pick them and then put them in different boxes in order to create a narrative. Smaulgld man bad. He trusts official data. China good, has gold. US bad, doesn't have gold. Chinese smart because they like gold. Sun Tzu. Anyway, there's your information. I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation, and please get your Smaulgld mugs and check out the Black Friday specials, and we will see you tomorrow. If you're cherry picking data, you're not red pilled. Thank you, Carl Joseph DeMarco. It's the red pill for the red pilled. Smaulgld.com. Thank you very much.